How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today I come to you with a question. What do you get when you place a black Christian rapper Lecrae in the same room with an overly apologetic white male Christian Dan Cathy, who by the way is Chick-fil-A CEO, and also a white male Christian megachurch pastor, and Louis Giglio, and have them discuss race? What do you get? You get cringe. That's what you get. You get absolute total cringe. And what we're going to do in this video is watch some of that cringe. Oh yeah, you got to see it, because you know why? It underlines a point that I make about all these race talks and how it's just really weird and awkward and uncomfortable and not necessary. And ultimately, in my humble opinion, unproductive. So what we're going to do first is watch what Louis Giglio said to Lecrae. Then we're going to see what Dan Cathy did to Lecrae, and then we're going to see Lecrae's response to everything that was going on. After we get done watching all of that cringe, I'll come back, I'll give you my 2 cents, my deep, detailed analysis, and then I'll wrap it on up with a nice bow on top. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
Yeah, you know, Lecrae, it's interesting because I feel like on the inside of the church, we're fighting this historical context you talk about. In other words, we love the blessing of the cross, but we don't love to sit in it and realize this is what God's asking me to do, to die to myself and to live for him, whatever context that's going to look like for me. But I want to flip that upside down, because I think the other side of it is true with our nation's history. We understand the curse that was slavery, white people do, and we say that was bad, but we miss the blessing of slavery, that it actually built up the framework for the world that white people live in and lived in. And so a lot of people call this white privilege, and when you say those two words, it just is like a fuse goes off for a lot of white people, because they don't want somebody telling them to check their privilege. And so I know that you and I both have struggled in these days with, hey, if the phrase is the trip up, let's get over the phrase and let's get down to the heart.
Sure. Let's
get down to what then do you want to call it? And I think maybe a great thing for me is to call it white blessing.
And I'd like to share, I know we're starting to get into some of our closing moments here, but a story that was shared with me by a dear friend who shared with me about a revival that was taking place at a church in Texas. And at that revival, on the front seat was an older African-American man that was sitting there. And this young man got up that was there in that service, and he'd been so gripped with conviction about the racism that was in that local community in a small town in Texas, that he took a shoe brush and he walked over to this elderly gentleman, and he knelt on his knees and began to shine his shoes. And tears began to flow in that service. It was an attitude of conviction. So I invite folks to put some words to action here. And if we need to find somebody that needs to have their shoe shine, we need to just go right on over and shine their shoes. And whether they got tennis shoes on or not, maybe they got sandals on, it really doesn't matter. But there's a time in which we need to have, some personal action here. Maybe we need to give them a hug too, brother.
And some stock in Chick-fil-A.
But I bought about 1,500 of these, and I gave to all our Chick-fil-A operators and staff a number of years ago. And so any expressions of a contrite heart, of a sense of humility, a sense of shame, a sense of embarrassment, beget with an apologetic heart, I think that's what our world needs to hear today.
What's up, y'all? All right, so let's talk about it. By now, everybody's seen the video with myself and Louis Giglio, and you wondering what the heck is going on. Well, first of all, let me just say this. Thank y'all. Like, sincerely thank y'all for y'all just acknowledging the pain and the frustration that y'all had with everything that you've seen. I know this is it's rough, you know what I'm saying? We're talking about 345 years, 400 years of chattel slavery, and then 89 years of Jim Crow, and we're battling still in 2020. And so I appreciate y'all acknowledging the pain and the frustration that you had with what was said. It's helped me process a lot as well. First of all, I want you to know I wasn't okay with it. Even as I sat there, I was very uncomfortable, and I was processing on like, man, what do I say in light of this? It's been a lot of times where as I've navigated white supremacy or racial injustice, where I've just been trying to figure out, where I wanted to lash out, honestly, in anger. And there's other moments where I've been like, all right, God, give me the grace and the wisdom on how to deal with this. And in that moment, I was processing like, man, what do I do? I ended up having a conversation with him subsequently, right after we talked. And then I talked to him again last night and let him know my views and my perspectives. And obviously I wasn't okay with it. And we can't just be virtue signaling and doing this because it's the end thing to do, to talk about race on platforms. And I didn't have any ulterior motives other than to, help and articulate, some of what's going on in our world and in our culture. So I just want to thank y'all, especially my Black sisters who have been on the front lines. I know y'all going through a lot this week, and I just want to encourage y'all and thank y'all for everything that y'all have said, and thanks for the encouragement. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Obviously, I'm not okay with changing white privilege to white blessing. That's a privilege in and of itself. But yeah, we talked about it, and we're gonna continue working through it. So I appreciate y'all. I love y'all.
All right, so you saw that, you heard that. Like I said, that was cringe. Like when I was watching it do this video, I was having a real hard time just keeping my eyes on the screen, not looking away. It was like watching a dumpster fire or train wreck. It was really, really crazy. Now, let's talk about Louis Giglio here first. This whole thing about white blessing. I understood where he was going with it. I don't think that it was phrased appropriately. He was trying to flip the word white privilege into white blessing. That probably is not what I would have done. I would have just said, we started in a dark place with slavery, which was the case all over the world. And we've been able to grow as a country up out of slavery. And we have the best country on planet Earth. That's what I would have said. Maybe it would have gone over well, maybe it wouldn't have, but I wouldn't have said the whole thing about the white blessing. But Lecrae the whole time, the Black Christian rapper, he's just sitting there kind of squirming, not really comfortable. I could tell that this was just kind of a weird place for him to be. All right. It was just really weird, really strange, because when you're talking about race and you're trying to not come off as racist and trying to just do different things to, just not be seen as the big bad R word, you end up just making yourself look crazy. You look crazy because what you're trying to do is crazy. You're trying to prove what you're not, and you know that you're not. So how can you really do that? It just comes off really weird. And at the same time, you don't want to offend anybody, right? So it's like if you are a white guy, a lot of times you get labeled as racist just for being white. Not all the time, but sometimes. You have white privilege, you have white this, you have white that. So what do you do to try to combat that? You almost can't really say anything, okay? Because Giglio was trying to say white blessing and let's not have it be that. Let's talk about how we've advanced, but it didn't come out right. So that's racist. I think he's apologized. Matter of fact, yeah, he says he's deeply sorry for calling slavery white blessing, but that's not even really what he did. He was just trying to say that the condition that has resulted is a blessing that we all live in. That's what I got from it. Maybe he didn't say that, but that's kind of what I got from it. Either way it goes, I wouldn't have said that because it kind of came off way wrong. I would have said it the way that I said it and have that been that. But then you have Mr. Dan Cathy, and God bless him. I mean, he was trying to do right, but that was super cringe as well. There's no reason to think that Dan Cathy is a racist or that Chick-fil-A as a company is racist. I mean, you got so many Black folks in there working, managers, just regular people, everybody. But a lot of Black folks have benefited from Chick-fil-A. I enjoy going to Chick-fil-A. It's always nice, always a big smile on their face. Even during this whole quote unquote pandemic we got going on right now, scandemic, even during that, they've been totally nice. I mean, they go above and beyond. You see the memes of guys running out there, going in the sewers, getting wedding rings, all type of stuff. They go way above and beyond. But I digress. My whole point is that Dan Cathy went too far above and beyond, shining or brushing Lecrae's shoes. He appeared to have on like some basketball shoes, some Converse. I don't know what he had on. They were not dress shoes. But he was like, doesn't really matter. This is shameful what white folks have done. Just really kind of crazy. The funny part was when Lecrae was like, hey, how about Chick-fil-A stock? How about that? And then there was silence. That was hilarious. It's like, okay, I'm apologetic, but not that apologetic. And I ain't gonna give you no money out of my, out of stocks, but I'll brush your shoes. Either way it goes, it was just really uncomfortable. Totally uncomfortable. And then to Lecrae, he had to just been feeling like, man, what am I doing here? What is going on? And he pretty much said as much in his follow-up video, it's like, I felt uncomfortable. I wasn't really feeling that too much. We had a talk afterwards and everything was okay. It's weird when you have this whole talk for like an hour and some change. And if you want to see that full thing, I linked to it in the box. But you got this whole big long talk for an hour and some change. And what comes out of it is people apologizing and, oh, I didn't really mean it that way. I didn't feel this. So that's what I'm saying. Like, what actually got accomplished? Nothing really. Lecrae's feeling weird. The mega church pastor is feeling weird. I don't know about Dan Cathy. I mean, he looked kind of weird. Maybe he feels weird as well. It was overall cringy, overall not necessary, and overall just kind of a waste of time in my humble opinion. But you know what? I take that back. It was not a total waste of time. I think what you were able to learn here is that race relations are just kind of awkward. And I feel like if people are just normal and they be themselves, there would not be all this tension. The tension comes from people trying to not offend, trying to be sympathetic, trying to be empathetic. Just be normal. Don't do anything above and beyond what you would normally do or anything less. Just be yourself. And that is my advice to anybody that's out there. If you're white, you're feeling guilty. If you're black, you're feeling guilty. You're feeling like you're some kind of victim. Don't feel that way. Feel the same way you always feel. Feel normal. And just know this, we live in the best country on planet Earth for everybody, not just white, not just black, but everybody. This is the best country on planet Earth. Take advantage of it rather than trying to find the boogeyman over every corner, under your bed, and everywhere else. Okay, this is not that kind of place. We live in an excellent place. You know, racism, that's really a thing of the past. Does it exist? Sure. But is it like this big overbearing problem to where you got to have these big talks and meetings and discussions? No, it's not that deep at all. And I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? How do you feel about the entire event if you saw it, or the clips that I did show you? Was it cringy? Was it weird? Was it strange? Was it helpful? Did it help you heal? Were you able to get something from it? All I got from it is that when people try to go above and beyond, be apologetic and be weird, things get awkward. Nobody really benefits from it. All that it is just a big spectacle, a big dumpster fire, just something that I don't really want to see that much, just in my humble opinion. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.